Hey, all you Game Nexus fans out there, and welcome to another episode of Outside the Box. Today we are talking about Star Wars Battlefront, and more specifically, why it's okay to love Battlefront. So, all you guys out there have been following the Battlefront story since it launched last year. There was a lot of love for this game in its pre-release hype, E3 showings, and all the various game showings. The community was just rabid for anything to do with this game. They wanted this game to be good. And you know what? The actual launch of the game turned out to be a different story indeed. This game launched and people just started hating on it. It was everything that me as a Star Wars fan could love in a game, but for some reason the majority of the internet gamers out there felt that DICE just did them wrong. Now, of course, this controversy wasn't helped any by the fact that just before they launched the game, EA and DICE announced their post-release DLC strategy, which essentially amounted to the bulk of the game being stripped out of it and sold separately. Now, whether that was in development or had already been done prior to the game launch, that's still open to debate. My opinion is that they actually didn't complete all of the content that was supposed to be in the game at launch due to time constraints, and EA simply stated that they needed to sell it separately. So what we ended up getting was a Star Wars Battlefront game that was beautiful. The sound was incredible. The gameplay was awesome. It was rocking a full 60 frames per second. Everything you could want in a shooter. It didn't have the content that everybody was expecting. So just to break it down with you specifically, we're dealing with a New Hope era game. The game launched with, I think, 10 maps. And a lot of things missing, like playable heroes. We didn't get near as many heroes as everybody was expecting from previous gen versions of Battlefront. As far as maps, vehicles, just in general, the amount of content that players could sink their teeth into just wasn't there. And then they announced the second expansion, and we got a couple more heroes and a few more maps. Not much in the way of vehicles. And then, of course, Bespin Cloud City launched, and we get yet even more content that was left out of the core release. So the game is an incredible game. I recommend all of you out there who enjoy Star Wars and are rabid Star Wars fans, play the game. There's lots here to love. Now, outside of the amount of money you'd have to spend to get all that content, that's a different story. But going into almost a year now since release, we have pretty much 3 full expansions, loads of new content, lots of game modes. I mean, there's so many game modes in this game that you'd be hard-pressed to get bored. We've got most of the content everybody wanted, and with the recent release of the DLC entitled Death Star, we finally get that one missing piece of content that all the fanboys out there just were all over when it launched, and that we didn't have space battles. We had atmospheric battles with X-Wings and Millennium Falcon and Slave One over the skies of Tatooine, but we didn't have space battles. Well, with the new DLC, now granted, if you don't have the Season Pass, you're going to have to get out there and buy it, but with the new DLC, we have space battles, and they are glorious. Looking right here at this point, you have a battle taking place over an unnamed planet, taking out Star Destroyers. It's a multi-tiered game mode where you actually have to go inside of the Death Star, which is orbiting the planets, and after taking out some objectives inside the Death Star, you actually get to blow it up. No, that's of course not before you do the famous trench run. So yeah, they do have that in the game, and you can even play as Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader, depending on which side you're on, either protecting the Death Star or going after it full force like Luke did in Star Wars. So in closing, there's lots to love about this game, but there's an equal amount of things to be concerned about. I think it's okay to love Battlefront. I mean, it gets a lot of hate, and a lot of people just love to hate things these days, but when it all comes down to it, we got an amazing Star Wars game. I mean, it's the only Star Wars shooter that we've had in years, almost a decade. So there's lots to love, and don't be ashamed to get out there and express your Star Wars Battlefront love, because I sure am. So tune in to Game Nexus ongoing. Make sure you like and subscribe, and make sure you're checking out Outside the Box every week right here on this channel. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll chat at you later. This is EVO Knight signing off.
I can help you reach your full potential.